Hello guys, today I'm going to be making a basic tutorial on the BYBAT lighting tab, which can be found using this button here. No one else has really covered it, and it can be a bit complicated for newer players, so I'm just going to run down the basics of it. I won't go into any deep techniques, if you will. I'll just show you what the buttons do. So on this wee sidebar, only 3 of these really matter, in my opinion. That would be brightness, it's pretty self-explanatory. Clock time as well, pretty self-explanatory, and global shadows. Always enable this. It can be a bit laggy for lower end devices, but it's really useful and I wouldn't recommend taking screenshots without it. So the first thing, blur effect. Don't have it set this high because you can't exactly see anything. Anything below 5 really, that's gonna, it'll be fine, but I wouldn't really use this necessarily. Color correction, it can be useful for making something. Personally, I don't use it either, so just experiment with it, and if you can use it, good for you. Now, the first effect that I really use is depth of field. You can see how certain things are in focus and out of focus. So far intensity changes the blur on further away stuff. So you see these mountains, if I set it to 1, they're even blurrier. Personally, I set that to around 0.7. Focus distance, that's just how far away the subject that you want to be in focus is. And in focus radius is about how much of it is in focus. So personally, I just leave it set to 10, and you can play around with it, see what works for you. So around focus distance 5 to 10, depending on how you take your photos. And near intensity, I normally have it set to 0.6. And that's just how blurry things close to you are. Right, sun rays effect, I don't use it, but you can see what it's doing. It can be used for some good lighting effects, but I don't use it, so just experiment with it, like I said, see what works for you. Now, bloom effect, I'll likely have a picture of an example in Studio, because it shows it better, but it basically controls how bright neon-y kind of items are. So you see the fire, if I set the intensity to say 12, you see how that increases in brightness. Normally set to, well, I personally set to like 3, 4. Size and threshold, I don't really mess around with those. You can if you want. Now, before I talk about sky, clouds, cover, you can set it to 1. I don't use clouds personally, I use the sky instead. So let's talk about that. If you do not have the 2 skybox related game passes, I think you can only see this, but I can be wrong because I don't know what it personally looks like. If you do have the 2 skybox game passes, you will see this. Just choose what you like. Make sure it's like roughly correlating with the scene that you have. So obviously I choose desert mountains for this. And atmosphere, it just adds a bit of fog. Usually in the color of the skybox. So if I set this to 0.7, it's a bit of a desert tan, foggy color, not fog color. I personally set it to around 5, so you can't exactly see beyond the build. It covers up any other people's builds if you're on a public server. And that's about it really. Just use what you think you need to make a good build. Builds without good lighting tend to look worse, so if you can get good lighting, it will usually be better for you, and more people might like your build. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks.